Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here, back in another video, and today we return with college football predictions. As today we will have LSU. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. And overall at LSU, with winning the women's basketball championship and now just winning the World Series for baseball, LSU has all the hype in the world right now over all their sports, and football is up next. Last season, they shockingly won the SEC West in Brian Kelly's first year, and it was a fantastic year for LSU. You ended up losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, but then you also won in the bowl game, you just whooped Purdue. So this LSU team has all the hype in the world, and they potentially can make the national championship if things actually go right. So this LSU team is going to be very good this year. And it's all down to the quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who a lot of people are saying could be a Heisman winner this year. Garrett Nussmeier is one of the best backup QBs in all college football. He probably could be starting at a Power 5 team right now, but his time is going to be next season. This is Jaden Daniels' season, and this offense is going to be very fun to watch. You have a great wide receiver core with Malik Neighbors, who's one of my favorite receivers in all college football. Brian Thomas can definitely step up. Kyron Lacey can step up. And also you have a transfer in Aaron Anderson coming in. He can also have a day one impact. So this LSU offense is going to be something very fun to watch. The running back situation is a little iffy, but Noah Cain is returning and he is very experienced. So he will probably be your halfback one. And also, you have a top 5 offensive line in the SEC. So this offensive line is going to be very improved off of last season. And you also have some talent coming in. Will Campbell is going to start, and Emory Jones is going to have another year under his belt. But the main thing with this LSU team is going to be their defense this year. And this defense is going to be much improved off of last season. You have a great linebacking core. Harold Perkins could be the best defensive player period this season after having a fantastic true freshman year. You get a guy like Omar Speights coming in from Oregon State, where he was a top 10 linebacker last year. He's going to come in as your weak side linebacker. So that two-headed monster in the linebacking core is really good. You also have Greg Penn returning this year as well. Like, this LSU linebacking core is deep. This defensive line is going to be very improved as well. You have Mekhi Wingo returning. And also Mason Smith. He got hurt in the FSU game last year. He missed all last season due to a torn ACL. He's going to come back, and he could potentially be one of the best defensive tackles in all college football for this upcoming season. The main thing I want to talk about real quick, though, is this secondary. The secondary was your kind of a weak point last year, but you did have a top 35 passing secondary last season, and you only improved off of that. LaTerrence Welsh, in my opinion, is going to be the best corner in this secondary. He was very good in the spring game, so I think he's that next LSU corner that's going to be a superstar, like we've seen over many times, like Derek Stingley and Patrick Peterson. But you also have tons of guys coming in from the transfer portal. You have Denver Harris, who's a former 5-star from Texas A&M. He has a few off-field issues, but the skill is undebatable. Zy Alexander transfers in, J.K. Johnson, and Deuce Chestnut, one of the best nickel corners in all college football last year at Syracuse. He's going to be one of the best nickels yet again for this LSU squad. So this LSU team is just very good all around. You have an elite staff, and like I said at the beginning, you definitely have a chance to potentially make the college football playoff and even the national championship. So let's look at this schedule. And this is kind of a favorable schedule for LSU. But you have that big week 1 game, a neutral site game versus Florida State. It's that Sunday night game. Last year was in New Orleans. This year it's going to be in Orlando. And this is a 50-50 game. Florida State can very easily win this game. They have a great wide receiver core, and Florida State just had a similar year to LSU last year. Both teams did not have a lot of hype. They were projected to either miss a bowl game or barely make it, and they both had 10-plus wins last season. So this is going to be a fantastic game. This is going to probably be a top 6 matchup week 1, but I think LSU is going to get revenge from last year. FSU won in controversial fashion last year. Give me LSU to bounce back in this game. And man, this is going to be a classic. Next game, you host Grambling State. We're not going to waste your time. LSU will win this game. Third game, you're at Mississippi State. And if this was still Mike Leach's team, if he was still here with us, and this team was still air raid, I would 100% think about a potential upset here. And I probably would have taken it, to be honest, because this is that game like you really don't think about that LSU can lose, and then they lose it. It happens in college football all the time. But with what Zach Arnett's doing, they're trying to change that offense completely as you go to more of a spread offense. And I think it's going to take time for Mississippi State, if I'm being honest with you. So I think Mississippi State is going to have somewhat of a down year compared to the other years in the past. This could be a close game. You have some great talent for Mississippi State, but I'm going to have LSU winning this game on the road. Next game, you're hosting Arkansas. If this was in Arkansas, this was another instance of a potential upset, but this is in Baton Rouge. LSU's not going to lose at home this year, in my opinion. LSU wins this game. Next game, you're at Ole Miss. I kind of hinted back-to-back times of a potential upset. It's going to happen here. I think Ole Miss is going to have a huge upset at home as you defeat LSU. And Lane Kiffin, you look at his entire coaching career, he really has never beaten a top-tier team. Now, Ole Miss has with Hugh Freeze and Bama, but this is a different Ole Miss team than Lane Kiffin. This is going to set Ole Miss, I don't even know where, but this is going to be a big-time win. And LSU, if you look with them and Brian Kelly, they always stumble a little bit somewhere. And it always happens in college football. I think this is going to be it as you go with back-to-back road games here as you have Mizzou next. I think Ole Miss is going to pull off the upset here. Next game, you're at Missouri. I really like Missouri this year, but I just think the talent barrier between LSU and Mizzou is way too much. I'm going to take LSU to win this game on the road. And if I had Ole Miss winning that game and LSU not, I can't see LSU losing back-to-back games. Next game, you host Auburn. And this is another time where if this was on the road, I would consider an upset. It's in Baton Rouge. And Auburn's a little too iffy this year, in my opinion. This is probably going to be the time where they start to pick things up, but they still haven't got everything together. I'm going to take LSU to win this game on the road. Next game, you host Army. This is not college football NCAA 14. Army's not going to pull off a miraculous upset. Army's not going to be that good this year. LSU's going to win this game on the road. As you have a bye, as you head into your biggest game this season at Alabama. And I already know the Bama fans are going to attack me in the comments for this one. They're going to click off this video, dislike it, and everything. I have LSU defeating Alabama on the road. Alabama was a 10-2 team last season, and this year they are worse in my opinion. Even if the quarterback is Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson, I think neither of those quarterbacks is going to just make this offense as good as it was the past few years with Bryce Young. This wide receiver core, you have the talent, but there's no clear-cut number one wide receiver on this roster for Bama. This is going to be a down year for Bama. I'm not going to say something ridiculous like they go 8-4. You'll find that out in the prediction. But I think this year alone, LSU has way more talent than Alabama. Now, this is Nick Saban and it's in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, Alabama can win this game. If you have Alabama win this game, I'm not mad at all. This game's going to be close either way, if it's a Alabama win or LSU win. But I'm going to take LSU to win this game on the road. Next game, you host Florida. Florida is going to be awful this year, sadly. Give me LSU. Next game, you host Georgia State. I'm not going to waste your time. You're going to win that game as well. In the final game of the year, you host Texas A&M. Like I've been saying for all the games in the earlier half of the schedule, if this game was on the road, I'll consider an upset. But I can't see, especially with how A&M has been the past few years, they go into Baton Rouge the final November, the final game of the regular season, and they pull off an upset. I can't see it. This game's going to be close in my opinion, but I think LSU will be able to pull away as they win the SEC West, most importantly, headed to the SEC Championship versus Georgia, and as you finish the regular season 11-1. And that SEC Championship versus Georgia will decide if they actually get into the playoffs or not. Your only loss is at Ole Miss. Now, The ceiling for this LSU team is obviously 12-0, but you can also go 10-2. Let's say you also lose to Alabama. That's an easy 10-2. But I just think this year, with all this talent on LSU, they're not going to lose 2 games. Well, at least as they head into the SEC championship game. If they do get a second loss, it would be in the SEC championship game. That's just how I feel about LSU this year. And let's say if you do have Alabama beating LSU, I think LSU could very easily as well beat Ole Miss on the road. So it's very flip-flop with all these games, but I think the most respectable record I can give LSU is 11-1 this year. What's your predictions for LSU this season? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, folks, and like always, have a good day. Peace out.